Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new lesson in history, lesson number 5, the religious trends in ancient India. Children, let me tell you that this lesson I have divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Why I have divided this into part 1 and part 2? So that you can understand this lesson properly. Now, in part 1, we will study only about the Jainism and Buddhism. And in part 2, we will study about Judaism, Christianity, Islam and Zoroastrianism. So, let us start part 1. In part 1, first we will see towards the end of the Vedic period, the minute details of yajna rites acquired undue importance. Only the priestly class had knowledge of those details. Others no longer had the freedom to gain that knowledge. Means only priestly class used to have the knowledge of yajna and yajna rites. Others do not have the knowledge and was not having right to have the knowledge also for the yajna or the yajna rites. The Varna system restriction became very hard in the course of time. A person's social position was decided by the Varna into which he was born, rather than by his achievements. Means Varna was decided according to his birth family. Means in which family he takes the birth. And there were 4 Varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. That is why from Upanishad period we see that attempts were made to give a wider scope to religious thoughts and not restrict it only to yajna rites. However, the thoughts in Upanishads focused on the existence and nature of the soul. It was difficult for ordinary people to understand it. This gave rise to different sects that emphasized the worship of particular deities. For example, the Shaiva sect. Now, before explaining you the Shaiva sect, let me clear you that in Upanishad also we have seen about the priest and their importance at that time. Because of this yajna and yajna rites, priests gained more important and other people were not having the right to perform the yajna or they do not have any knowledge about this yajna or yajna rites, and so the priest got the more importance in this. Now coming again to the Shaiva sect, let us see Shaiva sect of Shiva worshippers and the Vaishnava sect of the worshippers of Vishnu. Different Puranas were written with reference to these deities. Certain trends around the 6th century BCE made attempts to express religious thoughts in such a way that the common man would understand it easily. Many people realized that every person is free to find ways of his own upliftment. This led to the religious empathetically stated that discrimination on the basis of caste has no place in an individual's upliftment. The work of Vardhaman Mahavir and Gautam Buddha is of special importance among the proponents of new thoughts. Now let us see about Jainism. Jainism is one of the ancient religions in India. This religion gives importance to the principle of non-violence. According to the Jain tradition, a person who reveals religious knowledge is known as a Tirthankar. Means the person who is having the proper knowledge of the religion was known as Tirthankar. There have been 24 Tirthankars in all. Vardhaman Mahavir is the 24th Tirthankar in the Jain religion's tradition. Means there were 24 Tirthankar and Vardhaman Mahavir's number was 24th Tirthankar in the Jain religion and in Jain religious tradition. You can see in the picture, children, 24 Tirthankars are shown. Now let us come to Vardhaman Mahavir. Let us know more about him. There was a Mahajanpada known as Vriji in what is known as the state of Bihar today. Means it is today's Bihar, and the capital was Vaishali. And Vardhaman Mahavir was born in Kundagram, a part of Vaishali. His father's name was Siddharth and mother's name was Trishala. Vardhaman Mahavir left his home and all comforts for the attainment of knowledge. He left his house, all the comforts for knowledge. He attained enlightenment after 12.5 years of rigorous tapa. Tapa means what, children? Tapa means meditation. This knowledge was pure or Keval. Therefore, he is also known as Kevali. He was called Jina or conqueror because the joy derived from physical comforts and his discomfort felt due to undesired things had no impact whatsoever on him. The term Jain desire derives from the word Jina. Now children, let us study about Vardhaman Mahavir's teachings. Vardhaman Mahavir is said to be a Mahavir because he had the resilience, the courage of conquer all passions. After the attainment of knowledge, he preached for about 30 years to explain the essence of religion to people. To make it easy for people to understand it, he spoke to them in Ardha Magadhi, a people's language. The religion that he expounded laid a stress on good conduct. The essence of his teachings for good conduct is contained in the 5 great vows. Pancha Mahavratas and the 3 jewels, 3 Ratna. The assembly held by the Tirthankar to preach to people was known as Samvarsan. In Ardha Magadhi, Samvarsanan was based on equality. People of all Varnas had entry to it. Now let us study about the Pancha Mahavratas, the 5 great vows. These are 5 rules to be followed strictly. Ahimsa means non-violence. No living being should be hurt, injured or harmed through one's behavior. Satya, truth. Every speech and action should be true. Third is Asatya, non-stealing. Asatya means theft. Taking what belongs to others without their consent is theft or stealing. Asatya means not stealing anything. Aparigraha means non-attachment. Man tends to accumulate property due to greed. Aparigraha means not hoarding or accumulating anything in this way. And Brahmacharya means living bodily pleasures and following the vows. Now let us see 3 Ratna, means the 3 jewels. Samyak Gyan, Samyak Charitra and Samyak Charitra, Samyak Gyan, Samyak Darshan and Samyak Charitra. Samyak Darshan is what? To understand the truth in the preaching of Tirthankar. Samyak Gyan is studying the preaching on and philosophy of the Tirthankar. And Samyak Charitra means strictly follow the 5 great vows. The 5 great vows that we studied right now. Now let us move to the teachings of Vardhaman Mahavir. Teachings of Vardhaman Mahavir. Among the teachings of Mahavir, Anekantavada is considered to be very important in the quest for truth. It means pluralism or multiple viewpoints. In our quest for truth, if we focus on only 1 or 2 aspects or viewpoints and draw conclusions, the whole truth is not known. Therefore, it is necessary to pay attention to all aspects of an issue. If people follow this, they develop tolerance towards the opinions of other people in society and give up the attitude of stubborn adherence to their own opinion. Vardhaman Mahavir taught the people that the greatness of man does not depend on the Varna but on his excellent conduct. In the Vedic tradition, the doors of knowledge had slowly been closed to women, but Vardhaman Mahavir gave the right of sannyas, the right to renounce the world, to women too. His teachings were love all living things, have mercy and compassion, and live and let live. Means what he taught everybody, the simple thing is that love all living things, have mercy and compassion, live and let live. These were the teachings of Vardhaman Mahavir. Vardhaman Mahavir was a very peace loving person. He never believed in violence. He never believed in violence. He believed in non-violence. He was a very peaceful person. Now children, this was about Vardhaman Mahavir and his teachings. From his teachings, what we understood the five great vows: Ahimsa, Satya, Asatya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya. Then we also understood the three Ratna, which are Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan and Samyak Charitra. Now let us move to Buddhism. Buddhism spread in India and in many countries outside India. Gautam Buddha was the founder of Buddhism. Gautam Buddha was born at Lumbini in Nepal. His father's name was Subodhana and mother's name was Maya Devi. His birth name was Siddharth. He had attained knowledge of human life in its entirety. That is why he came to be known as the Buddha. He wanted to know why there is sorrow and suffering in human life. He left his home and all comforts in pursuit of the answer to his question. On Vaishak Purnima, he was sitting in deep meditation under the peepal tree at Uruvela near the city of Gaya in Bihar. He had done the meditation under the peepal tree, and that peepal tree was near the city of at Uruvela near the city of Gaya in Bihar. That is when he attained Bodhi, enlightenment, or the highest knowledge. He got the knowledge by sitting under the tree and doing meditation. He did the meditation and he gained the knowledge. The tree is now known as Bodhi tree or Bodhi Vriksha, and the place Uruvela is known as Bodh Gaya. He delivered his first sermon at Sarnath near Varanasi. Now children, you can see in the picture Gautam Buddha sitting and doing meditation under the Bodhi Vriksha, or you can say the Bodhi tree. Now whatever knowledge he has gained, this is only because of his meditation. Now let us learn about the sermon at Sarnath near Varanasi. His teachings in the first sermon are termed Dhamma. He set in motion the wheel of Dhamma in this sermon. Therefore, this event is called Dhamma Chakra Pravatan in Pali and Dharma Chakra Pravatan in Sanskrit. Later, he travelled on foot for nearly 45 years to preach Dhamma. He preached in the people's language, Pali. In Buddhism, the concept of taking refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha is important. It is known as Trisharan. The essence of the Dhamma he expounded is as follows: Arya Satyas or Noble Truths. Now, there are 4 noble truths at the root of all human affairs. They are called noble truths or Arya Satyas. Life is suffering means dukkha, birth. Now what is dukkha? Birth, trauma, illness, old age, fear or approaching death, separation from what one loves, or stuck with what one hates. The cause of suffering is desire, is tanha. The cure of suffering is to remove desire. To remove desire, follow the eightfold path. Now this eightfold path he has taught us. Before that, let us see about the four noble truths. Dukkha, the cause of dukkha, dukkha nivaran, and pratipad. Pratipad means what? Pratipad means this is the way of conduct, good conduct, and it is known as Ashtangik eightfold path. Means the end of sufferings. Now, noble eightfold path. Eightfold path is what, children? Right mindfulness, right concentration, right effort, right livelihood, right action, right speech, right inclusion. Now, what does it mean? It means right to right view, right resolve, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, and right mindful. Mindfulness means being mindful to remove passions and concentrating on trying to understand one's own feelings and mind. And right concentration means experiencing deep meditation with concentration. And right livelihood means using only the proper means of livelihood. And right effort means making effort to avoid wrong acts, giving up wrong acts, undertaking and maintaining good acts. And right conduct or means what, children? To stay away from killing animals, stealing and controlling behaviors. Now Panchashila. What is Panchashila? Let us see what is Panchashila. Panchashila means Gautam Buddha asked people to follow 5 rules. The rules are called Panchashila. Stay away from killing animals, stay away from stealing, stay away from unethical conduct, stay away from telling lies, and stay away from intoxicants. This was known as Panchashila, and these were the teachings of Gautam Buddha. Because we have no right to kill animals, even animals. Gautam Buddha believed that each and every animal, insect, microorganism, everybody has the right to live. Now let us see Buddha Sangha. He created a Sangha of bhikkhus to preach his religion. Followers who gave up their domestic life and entered the Sangha were called bhikkhus. They too traveled on foot like the Buddha to preach Dhamma to the people. There was a separate Sangha of women. They are called bhikkhunis. People of all varnas and caste could embrace Buddhism. So now let us see essence of his teachings. Gautam Buddha announced the freedom of human. The tolerance preached by Gautam Buddha is a guiding. He refused the discrimination based on things like varna. No one is greater or smaller by birth. Greatness depends on one's behavior or conduct. One of his famous quote is that even that the little quill can trip freely in her nest. This shows his thinking on the values of freedom and equality. He preached that he, like men, women too, had the right to their own upliftment. He opposed the rituals of yajna. His teachings of wisdom, prajna, moral virtue, shil, and other values are aimed at the welfare. Thank you, children. Let us learn half of the part in the part 2. As I told you, I have divided into 2 parts. So now in the next part, we'll learn about Judaism. Children, I have divided this lesson into 2 parts. In the first half, we studied about the society towards the end of the Vedic period. Then Jainism, Vardhaman Mahavir, and teachings of Vardhaman Mahavir. Then about Gautam Buddha and the teachings of Gautam Buddha. And now in this part we are going to study about Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Zoroastrianism. Children, I want you to go through the first part also. This I have done only for your better understanding, so that you will understand each and every religion and the importance of every religions and the saints and the teachings of them very clearly. So children, I hope the first part was clear to you, so that we can start the second part. In this second part we are going to start with Judaism. Now children, what is Judaism? Let us see what is Judaism. The followers of this religion are known as the Jews or Yahudis. In the 1st or 3rd century AD, the Jews arrived at Konchi in Kerala. Their religion preaches monotheism. Monotheism means God is one. Their religion teaches monotheism. That means the God is one. It also preaches the virtues of justice, truth, peace, love, compassion, respect to the elders, charity, and self-respect. Now their place of worship is called synagogue. Now children, people belonging to the Jewish religion may have arrived in Kochi in Kerala around the 1st or 3rd century. So by this what we understand that this religion belongs to Jews or Yahudis, and what they learn and what they taught taught us that God is one. And Judaism emphasized justice, truth, peace, love, compassion, humility, charity, ethical speech, and self-respect. And the prayer house is known as synagogue, where they do their prayers. The place is known as synagogue. So this was all about the Judaism. Now children, let us learn about their holy place where they pray their God. We have seen that people belonging to Jewish religion follow Judaism. Now children, they believe that there is only one God. What they believe? They believe only there is only one God. So their religion preaches monotheism. Now let us learn about Christianity. Christianity is a religion founded by Jesus Christ. It has spread all over the world. Saint Thomas, one of the 12 disciples of Christ, came to Kerala in the 1st century of Christian era. He established a church at Palayur in Trichur district in 52 CE. According to the teaching of Christianity, there is only one God. He is the loving Father of all and is omnipotent. It is believed that Jesus Christ is the Son of God who came to the earth for the salvation of mankind. According to the teachings of Christianity, we are all brothers and sisters. We should love everyone, including our enemies. We should forgive those who err or go wrong. The Bible is the only holy book of Christianity, and their prayer house is known as church. Now children, let us see about Islam. Islam is a monotheistic religion. There is only one Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. The message of God is revealed through him in the holy book of Quran Sharif. The word Islam means peace. It also means surrender to Allah. The teaching of Islam is that Allah is eternal, absolute, all-powerful and merciful. The purpose of human existence is to worship Allah. The Quran Sharif provides guidance on how man should behave in life. Since ancient times, there have been trade relations between India and Arabia. Arab traders used to visit the ports on the coast of Kerala. Islam spread in Arabia in the 7th century CE. Islam arrived in India in the same century through the Arab traders. The prayer house of Islam is known as a mosque or masjid. You can see in the picture, children, the prayer house for the people of Islam. The prayer house is known as mosque, or you can call it masjid also. Islam is also a monotheist religion which believes in Allah and regards Muhammad as his prophet, as I told you. And what else it teaches us? The message of Allah was delivered by prophet. Now let us see Zoroastrianism. Since ancient times, Zoroastrianism people and Vedic people have shared ties. The sacred text of the Parsi and Zoroastrian people is the Avesta. The language of the Rigveda and Avesta is similar. The Parsis came to India from the Pars or Fars province of Iran. Therefore, they are known as Parsis. It is mostly believed that they first came to Gujarat in the 8th century CE. Zarathustra or Zoroaster was the founder of their religion. Ahura Mazda is the name of their god. The elements of fire and water are very important in their religion. The sacred fire burns in the temples, which are known as Agyaris. At the core of Parsi thinking are three main principles of conduct, namely good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Now, children, this was all about the Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Zoroastrianism. Thank you, children.